Somewhere tonight, you'll walk down a hallway, or across an empty parking lot, or through a quiet house after everyone else has gone to sleep. And somewhere in that walk, the hair on the back of your neck will rise for no reason you can name. Your shoulders tighten. Your steps get a little faster without you deciding to speed up. You'll feel it before you can explain it. Someone is behind you, watching you. You spin around. Nothing. No one there at all. You'll probably shrug it off as nerves. It isn't nerves. It's an alarm system older than language, and it just did exactly what it was built to do. Think about what makes behind you different from every other direction. Anything in front of you, you can watch. Anything to either side, you can turn toward. But directly behind you is the one angle you cannot see, cannot track, cannot brace against, no matter how you position your body. For nearly the entire span of human history, that blind spot was exactly where an ambush would come from. A rival, a predator, anything that benefited from you not noticing until it was far too close. Evolution doesn't tend to leave a vulnerability like that unguarded. It builds a system that treats the space behind you as a standing question that never quite closes. People have been reporting the feeling that answers that question for well over a century, and the earliest scientific attempt to explain it landed somewhere surprising. In 1898, a psychologist named Edward Titchener collected accounts from his own students describing what they called the feeling of being stared at. A crawling, tingling unease that built and built until they had to turn around and check. Titchener didn't believe it was telepathy, and he was right not to. His own lab tests of people who claimed they could sense a stare and people who claimed they could make someone turn around just by staring at their neck came back negative every single time. He had a different theory. He thought the tingling itself came from simply thinking about your own neck. The same way focusing hard on your knee can suddenly make your knee feel more present. And the confirmation people felt on turning around, he suspected, was mostly timing. You start to turn. Someone nearby who happens to already be glancing your way meets your eyes right as you complete the turn, and your brain stitches that coincidence into a memory of having been stared at the whole time. 15 years later, a researcher named John Coover put the question to a harder test. 10 subjects, 100 separate trials each, guessing whether an experimenter was staring at them from behind or not. The result? Correct 50.2% of the time. Coover called it an astonishing approximation of pure chance, and concluded the sensation, however common and however real it felt, was groundless as an actual detector of anything. Decades later, researchers tried the experiment again with modern equipment, cameras, and skin conductance sensors that could catch even an unconscious physical flinch. The result held up, no clear effect. A handful of looser, less carefully randomized studies over the years have claimed a small edge above chance, but every time researchers tightened the controls and removed patterns a sharp guesser could learn, that edge disappeared. Whatever this feeling is, it is not a working radar for real eyes on your back. So if it isn't detection, what is it? This is where the story leaves psychology and heads into the brain itself, nearly 100 years after Coover's numbers. The amygdala is a small, almond-shaped structure buried deep in your brain, and its entire job is threat detection. Not confirmed threat, possible threat. That distinction matters more than it sounds like it should. In 2004, neuroscientist Paul Whelan ran an experiment where he flashed images of eyes at people for a fraction of a second, so fast that most subjects never consciously registered seeing anything at all. Yet the eyes with wide, fearful whites lit up the amygdala anyway. Larger eye whites means fear, means danger, and your brain reads that signal before you're even aware there was anything to read. It doesn't wait for certainty. It acts on a fragment, because in the environment this circuit evolved in, waiting for certainty was how you ended up dead. Here's what makes that finding so important. It means your brain does not wait for you to consciously notice a threat before reacting to it. Fragments are enough. A shift in shadow, a change in the sound of the room, the half-second flicker of something at the very edge of your vision that you never actually looked at. None of it has to reach your conscious mind to reach your amygdala first. Neuroscientist Ralph Adolphs found the flip side of this in a patient known as SM, who had rare, complete damage to both sides of her amygdala. SM had a strange blind spot. She simply never looked at anyone's eyes. Shown a fearful face, she'd scan the mouth, the nose, everywhere except the one place carrying the actual danger signal. And as a result, she couldn't reliably tell a frightened expression from a calm one. It wasn't that she couldn't recognize fear once she looked at it. She had simply lost the automatic pull that sends everyone else's gaze straight to the eyes without being asked. When researchers forced her deliberately to look at the eyes, her ability to read fear came back immediately. Without an amygdala driving you toward potential threat cues, you don't even know where to look for them in the first place. Put Coover's dead even numbers next to Whalen and Adolph's, and the real explanation comes into focus. You were never reading someone's actual gaze through the back of your skull. You were reading something much stranger, a nervous system that treats an unwatched blind spot as unfinished business, generating real, physical unease out of nothing more than the possibility that it might not be empty. This is also exactly why the feeling hits hardest when you're alone. Biologists studying animals that live in herds and flocks call this the many eyes effect. More individuals means more eyes scanning at once, so any single animal can relax its own vigilance a little, trusting the group to catch what it misses. It's part of why a crowded street feels calmer than an empty one, even when both are, statistically, about equally safe, and part of why the exact same hallway feels different, depending on whether you can hear other footsteps nearby. Strip the group away, and your alarm has nobody left to share the job with. It has to cover every blind spot alone, so it runs hotter, jumpier, faster to fire, checking behind you again and again, even seconds after you already checked once. And there's a second trick working against you, quieter than the first. You don't remember the hundreds of times you felt that prickle and turned around to nothing. Your brain doesn't bother filing those away. They resolved into nothing, so there's nothing worth keeping. But the one time out of 100 when you did turn around and somebody actually was standing there, that memory gets stamped in permanently, vivid and specific, the kind of memory you can still describe years later. Ask yourself honestly which version you remember more clearly, and you'll already understand why this feels like a sixth sense instead of what it actually is. A system that often performs close to chance, but remembers its rare hits like proof. So the next time you're alone somewhere, maybe tonight, maybe in a stairwell or an empty office after hours or a dark street with your keys already between your fingers, and that prickle rises up the back of your neck for no reason you can name, you don't need to explain it away, and you don't need to believe you have some hidden extra sense either. You are feeling an old threat system doing its job, treating the space behind you as the one place it can never fully trust.